kind of feel bad for these people, but at the same time I don't because they're stupid.
See a circle around yourself, just start pissing everywhere.
Oh, I hate the Dutch.
Welcome to our country, and so
she doesn't really look Canadian. She looks almost American.
Just insulted all of Canada.
Oh, every time I say something up, then you gotta. If I'd known that before, I would have just interspaced every other sentence with something horrible.
Well, I haven't felt my feet since I sat down in a chair.
Can you see your feet, though?
No. I'd rather do anything else on the planet than go tip a cow over.
How about Canada? Is there any stream access issues up in Canada?
nobody cares.
Not very much.
Kids, if you don't understand that joke, ask your parents.
Evan, Derek,
Yeah.
Oh, crap, here it comes.
your flies are open.
Thanks.
Grab hold of your flies. This is a podcast for nymphers, strippers, swingers, and dry fly guys. It's the show that brings you stories, instruction, and conservation from three guys who live it every day. This is The Open Fly.
Record number of people in the Shark Shack today. Yeah. How many are in here? Anybody count? Anybody know how to count this high?
Count from the left. It's going to take two hands.
Metric
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
U.S.?
There's,
standard.
I think
definitely
there's
metric.
6, including the Canadians.
Yes.
So 4 people.
Oh, that was harsh, eh?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Sorry.
Yeah. We got Dave and Sarah Henry in the studio again today.
Hey.
Welcome, Canada.
Hi, folks. Sorry.
Welcome back to our country. So
Glad to be here.
If any of you don't speak Canadian, you're going to need to get out your translators. There is a language barrier, but we apologize.
We've had...
Oh,
who's the hat? Who is the
Phone's
hack?
off.
Bring people in here, they start.
Boo.
Oh.
Didn't we have Dave on the show?
We did. We just talked about that like 10 seconds ago. That's why I said we had him back.
He said, welcome back.
Well, a lot of people might not... Jesus.
This is why we can't have nice things.
A lot of people probably didn't start tuning in until, say, last week. So for those of you that didn't tune in when Dave was on the show, Dave was on the show.
He was. Our second show.
Second.
It was the one Bizarro show where our interviewee was in the studio and Derek, the interviewer, was on the phone.
Yeah.
So Derek interviewed Dave while Derek was in Denver, and Dave was here in Derek's seat.
Now they're both here.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
juxtaposition.
Derek is in Derek's seat, and
Yes.
Dave is not.
Nope. So on the mic today, we got me, your host, Evan, and then Derek across from me.
Hello.
And then Ian.
Hello.
Kirk.
Hi.
Dave.
Hello.
And then Dave's wife, Sarah, sitting back there with no mic.
Wife
Say hi, Sarah.
Hi.
way off in the distance.
For those of you that need translation, that was hello in
Yes.
Canadian.
Hi.
It's a common salutation.
Dave
Hi,
and,
sorry. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Dave and Sarah came down from Canada to escape the snow and the ice and everything to go
And the
fishing.
repressive government.
Yes.
Yes.
To,
Yes.
It was the Eskimos.
It was the
It
Eskimos.
was the Eskimos.
came down to fish with Derek yesterday. So how'd that go, Derek?
We had a splendid day.
Good. I like splendid days.
Yeah, but ask the people that were there. I mean, that's my perspective.
Oh, yeah, we had a great day on the water. It was super fun. Great float. Surprised I haven't fished that river before. The Yakima, by the way.
Swinging the two-handers.
We were.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Great guide.
Great guide, yeah.
Great
I heard Sarah caught a fish.
Sarah caught a nice
Sarah
fish.
always catches a fish.
Hoorah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Day on the water.
Good.
Thanks, Derek.
You're welcome, yeah. Couldn't have been any better. Well, Dave caught a fish,
Oh.
but he missed a couple on a single-handed rod, so that's almost like
It's almost like catching a fish.
it's almost like catching a fish.
It is.
It's probably a foreign proposition for you to fish a single-handed rod.
Yeah. It has been lately, actually, yeah. I want to get back into it, though. I enjoy it.
Frees up your other hand for things like drinking beer
That's
while
right.
you're fishing.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Or two
that
single-handed
on-
rods.
two single-handed
Tandem
rods.
casting.
He could do that
Now that
easily.
would be-
Yeah.
The Canadian gunslinger.
That's right.
All right.
It's the water and
Should we move on to listener feedback?
Apparently so.
Yeah. Today's listener feedback brought to you by All of the Woolly Bugger. Kirk, where do they find that at?
On the internets.
Yeah.
At www.allofthewoolybugger.com.
Is that an HTTP colon
Yeah, there's-
//
There are a couple of those things in there, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to double check.
So anyway, Benjamin writes, I realized after I sent the email on winter trout fishing tips that it might come across as instructional.
It was very instructional.
Yeah, I don't even remember it. I am glad you all remedied this and made sure that it wasn't. Your instruction mostly consisted of, stay home. I tried and I can't. What do you guys do to pass the time in the winter?
I don't know. I do some fishing. I just don't fish for trout. So he was asking about fishing for trout in the winter, which I have very little experience doing. So I had no real. I just go steelhead fishing.
So we catch nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard you use midges.
Oh, there you go. I told them to use small flies, which would be midges would fall into that category.
True flies. Midges are true flies.
Yes, there you go.
Short line check nymphing. You can catch whitefeet at your fish.
White feet at your fish.
We had a fish right at our feet yesterday when we were chasing that rising fish, and it just popped right in front of the tip of his rod.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Yakima welcoming, and kind of like a piss off, eh?
Yeah. F you.
Hoser.
Hoser.
F you, Canadian.
Do you apologize to the fish when you hook them?
I do.
Sorry
Sorry.
about that.
I'll release you.
All right.
Okay.
Is that the rest of his email? Or?
No, Benjamin continues. Do you get the itch to fish still, like I'm sure you did when you were fishing when you first start out?
Fish still what?
Like lakes? Or
Does it make me itchy to think about winter fishing?
Oh, maybe the context will make more sense if he finishes the sentence.
Oh, do you get the itch to fish still?
There we go.
Like, it was just poorly worded.
Oh.
Like I am sure you did when you were first starting out.
Yeah, I mean, I get the itch to fish in the wintertime sometimes, but our winter fisheries, I mean, I remember he was in Maine or Massachusetts or somewhere out there, and the fisheries out there are remarkably different than what we have out here, so yeah, we do fish in the winter here, but it's very different than what you're going to do there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does tying flies do the trick for you?
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah, what's up with
I don't know. Tying fly. I see tying flies and fishing as two completely separate hobbies, and I'm not a big tyer. I don't
tie at all.
I don't know. My time spent crafting stuff. I craft beer instead.
I like scrapbooking and
stamp
applying
collecting.
glitter to plaster stamps and casts and things.
Yeah, exactly. Derek's a tyer. Derek and Ian like tying.
Yeah, I tie kind of. I have more flies than I could ever fish. I just kind of go OCD and start.
Yeah.
Something.
Wintertime is when all of the random items in my house kind of end up on my on the fly tying desk. Just materials that you probably wouldn't use to tie with, but I put them on the desk just because at some point I might.
Mm-hmm. Then you don't.
So I've got like cellophane and that net kind of thing that comes with your Easter ham.
Yeah,
that actually is a nice substrate for wings.
Yeah.
Rubber bands. Hell, I've tied with Q-tips before too, so I don't know.
Yeah,
that's when I know that the winter's long, when I start bringing out these random tying objects, and then I stop.
I'll start saving some of those winter objects and
please do. Yeah, especially like the elastic band out of your whitey tidies. Those are pretty good too.
Oh wow, yeah. Good streamers.
Rubber legs.
Sharp. Flies.
He continues to ask one more question. No, he's done with his questioning, but he has a finishing statement.
Okay.
Whenever I tie, I just end up wanting to fish the new flies right away.
Oh,
that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, there's more.
From him? From Benjamin?
From Benjamin.
Oh.
Wow, they've had a long winter back there.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
We'll empathize with them.
We'll engage him here.
Yeah.
On a serious note, that part about suction dredge mining was horrifying. It would be great if in future conservation sections, if you gave us a better sense of how to actually get involved with some of these causes personally. Anyone can donate money. Some of us want to and can donate time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, quite frankly, with Fish Not Gold, I'm not sure what people can do.
Right. I don't suggest going out there and confronting these dudes on the river.
No, you might write to the people at Fish Not Gold and find out what you can do in your area to...
We did on show 2, which coincidentally was the other show that Dave here was on. We talked to Jason Small about things that anybody can do. He's part of a local conservation group called the Native Fish Society and volunteers with them. You could listen to that show and maybe that'll give you some ideas of what you might have around you that you can spend your time doing. That was a good segment on conservation that anybody can do.
Excellent.
Everybody's nodding their heads.
Yeah.
Because you can hear that.
Yeah.
Well, they can see it. Yeah.
Are we filming this one, or are you just taking stills?
Neither. It's all captured on the microphones.
Neither. Don't you mean neither?
Are you guys finding that?
Yes.
The more that we hear Dave and his wife talk, I think you're starting to sound a little Canadian over there. I'm having a hard time understanding you.
Oh, sorry. I
thought I heard you say a boot.
Speaking of foreigners, we have Nick from Ireland who writes,
Wow.
"Can you adopt me as a show's token foreigner? If not, why not? Also, do you ever use Kirk as a river gauge? Armpits out."
What was the first statement one more time? I kind of missed that. We were too busy yelling into the mics.
Nick writes, "Can you adopt me as the show's token foreigner? If not,
I
why
think
not?
Foreigner.
Foreigner.
Adoption?
So adopt him as the token foreigner.
So we're going to, foreign adoption, I think there's a lot of paperwork.
There is.
I'm not down for that.
We are a legitimate company now. We might be in a better position to do that, but
There's legal implications to
there
that.
is.
I think adopting people is going to be a good idea.
I don't know if the Open Fly LLC business model, as we are recognized by the state, would include adoption of foreign people.
And Angelina Jolie might jump on you too, so
Yeah.
you might not like that so well either.
Yeah.
Well,
That was
let's
the first time.
rephrase
Always the
that.
first time, yeah.
It's like, you say that like it's a bad thing.
That's
Ooh,
too,
Angelina Jolie jumped on me.
Oh,
One
no.
of her children. You were like that.
that's 2 pots full of gold in your mouth.
I don't get it.
That's right. It's
You
an
had to
inside
be
joke.
there.
We'll tell you later.
It just sounded funny.
I would say maybe to address Nick's inquiry, maybe unofficially we could adopt him as a foreigner, but we've got Dave and Sarah and
We do. We have 2 foreigners
that's right.
right now, and that would just be
Yeah.
rude to snub them.
Please send your photos. I mean, I want to know what my mascot's going to look like. So please send some photos.
Do we need? Yeah, we get the little
Clothes
plaque.
Clothes on.
Yeah, the little plaque on the
Yeah.
wall that says we adopted this foreign person. And
yeah. Well, I got to say, though, Dave's looking a little Irish today with his little tweed cap.
Yes.
It's,
This is my golf cap.
yeah,
you look like a golfer, Dave.
you do. An Irish.
I don't mean that in a Tiger Woods kind of way either.
But if we kill all the golfers, who will?
Yeah.
And then, can we just ignore Nick's second question?
No.
Also, do you ever use Kirk as a river gauge? Armpits out!
Not yet.
Wow. I think that's some sort of backhanded Irish compliment.
Was it?
Or not.
Are they fond of short people?
I don't know. I know a lot of Irish people, and they're not
Thing
much
is, like-
bigger than I am.
I don't know if Kirk would be I mean, do you want a short person as a river gauge? Because then you're kind of limited to how much water you can measure.
Like up over his head.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
You don't have to worry about calculations and translations in that setup. I mean, it's like stick Kirk in the water and see.
Yeah.
it's a Monday. Things are a little off today. It's Monday. We don't usually do this.
I don't know if we've done a Monday yet.
Yeah.
We're usually a Thursday or hump day
Thursdays.
kind of.
Yeah.
It's also
Kinda show.
later in the day.
It is. We're thrown off.
This is all weird.
Yeah.
Is that it from questions from the guy from Ireland?
Yeah, Nick from Ireland is done.
Okay.
Harry Sack writes in.
It's Satch, I believe.
That H is
I
silent.
read that the CH is a hard syllable.
Oh.
Does Sasquatch eat fish, and should I blame him for poor fish conditions in the Pacific Northwest? P.S. What is the craziest animal you've seen while fly fishing?
Well, Derek is our local beef row expert. Derek, can you let us in on some of that?
Oh, beef row. Mm-hmm. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, of course the Sasquatch would eat fish. I mean, the fact that you haven't seen him do it doesn't mean anything at all.
Right.
So the answer is yes.
Why
Yes.
wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't
Right.
they eat fish?
True enough.
think Sasquatch just eats anything.
Who's going to stop
Yeah,
it?
who's going to stop Sasquatch?
Right.
I'm like,
There's nobody telling me can't.
What is the craziest animal you've seen while fly fishing?
Pitbull.
I don't know. Dave lives in Canada. They have a lot of crazy
there's
creatures
way
up
different
there.
animals up
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
I've seen Sean Connery in a dress
Okay.
once,
That's
if that counts as an animal.
that's crazy.
It is.
Yeah,
Just the way your mother likes it, Trebek.
Shocking.
pretty much. That's that was not a good.
I've seen bears and I've seen lynx and, big horns and deer. And did I say bear already? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Moose.
What about
snakes.
jackalope? Has anybody seen one of those?
No, not seen
No,
jackalope.
they tend to. They have the same habitat as Sasquatch, so they're a little tougher to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice hand food though for a squatch. You just grab that rabbit by the
Mm-hmm.
horns.
Yeah, I've seen your typical Pacific Northwest fare. River otters and eagles and large animals. Down in Mexico, I've seen dolphins and turtles and sharks and whales and stuff.
Some of those aren't necessarily crazy.
So nothing crazy.
No, not crazy.
The pinnipeds down in Mexico are sure smart, though.
Yeah, they are. Pinnipeds meaning sea lions and things.
What's Sarah wanted to say something, Sarah?
I was just saying, I'd like to know more about the Sean Connery in a dress.
I'll take 8 tit for $10.
Yeah, it was Sean Connery in a dress in the middle of winter. He was cooking breakfast.
And that's all it is.
Yeah,
And what were you wearing at the time, Dave?
I had my waders on.
Okay.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Was he a guest of yours on the river?
No, it was on the Thompson. He was cooking breakfast outside of his camper, and I was just parked and was walking towards the river, and there he was.
You're talking about Indy's father, the Sean Connery?
No, I'm talking about Sean Connery,
James Bond.
007.
007.
not young Sean Connery, old Sean
Old
Connery
old Sean
in
Connery.
a dress.
Kirk, do we have any more feedback?
Thank God, no.
All right, we're going to cut the music. 'Cause I did fire up your theme music. You just couldn't hear it.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
All right. Anybody else have anything to add to what we just did there?
I would encourage listeners to provide us with more feedback because it's fun to hear it.
It is.
Yeah.
It provides discussion, talking points, because we're all about the talking points here at the Open Fly Podcast.
Fewer questions, maybe, because we're not
Knowledgeable.
we're not a show for you.
Right.
We're not just going to cater to your whim.
This isn't Wikipedia.
Right.
That gets on my nerves. People post stuff on Facebook or Twitter asking questions like, where can I buy a sled in Camden?
I don't know, Craigslist.
Figure it out. People are getting lazy.
There.
People are just getting lazy. That's
Yeah.
it.
Go to Camden and buy
Yeah, I think I see on Instagram, people there's a random picture of a fish, and you'll just see a post. Somebody says, "Anybody know the best reel to use on this river this time of year?" Like, what the hell kind of question is that anyway? And why'd you just post on Instagram on some random trout picture? I don't know. People are.
It's a cry for attention, probably, Evan, and now you've probably just ruined their lives.
I did. That's fine. Fine by me. Should we move on to the news now?
Yeah,
Let's talk about news.
Again, our news is very Pacific Northwest centric because, like I said last week, we're just a lot more interesting. We're kind of like, how Florida, like on the regular news, just has all kinds of crazy things going on. We're kind of like Florida here in Washington, but with wildlife and fish. Only this time, the North Fork Stillaguamish River, not exactly a funny thing, but the North Fork Stillaguamish River, which is only about a half hour north of the Open Fly Studios here, had a huge landslide that completely dammed the river. And so, yeah, I think as of this morning, they said 108 people that are unaccounted for now. It went from 3 to 108.
It's 1 million cubic feet of land just slid into the water.
Yeah, just
and
sheared
across
off.
the water, and then across the road that's about a quarter of a mile away. And
Yeah, and right over, basically blocking access. And, this is not nearly as important as the people missing, but blocking access to where all the wild winter steelhead spawn. So a river that just can't catch a break to begin with just got a whole lot worse.
1 square mile.
yeah,
Or 1 square kilometer, eh?
No, that'd be like 1.8 square kilometers.
Oh,
Hey.
God, I'm never good at math.
Something like that.
So yeah, I just to see the sheer scale of what's going on, look it up on the Googler and see the pictures because it is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah, I mean, very close to home here, so we wanted to bring that up because it's pretty crazy. And the Native Fish Society, which Jason Small on episode 2 we just talked about, came on and told us about, is having a banquet soon, and there's a whole bunch of protests going on. And why I want to bring that up is we have the two groups, like you mentioned, the people that are pro-hatchery and the people that are anti-hatchery. And the pro-hatchery crowd is coming out to protest the Native Fish Society's get-together. And a friend of ours, Brian Bennett from the Moldy Chum and formerly of the Fish Stick, has vowed to give $1 for every protester that shows up. So somebody should go out there and help raise money for the Native Fish Society.
Nice.
Nice.
Good challenge, Brian.
I said I would have matched it, but then like 500 people are going to show up, and the Open Fly podcast doesn't exactly have much of a bank account.
That's a lot of gas for the corporate jet.
It is.
Yeah.
You can't just be throwing money
So,
like that.
Brian, if you follow through with that, good on you.
Yeah,
Thank
if you do, we'll have you on the show.
We're going to do that anyway.
See, Kirk's sound Canadian now, too. Did you just hear that?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have you on the show.
On the show?
It's easier way of talking.
Is it an easier way of talking?
No, yeah, the Canadians really,
absolutely.
They're onto something.
Yeah.
It's because we're drunk.
Right. Good segue.
I think people are fairly convinced that we imbibe while we're on the air. And I'll tell you right now, I'm looking around the table, I see an empty bottle of Sobe water and
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero, and there's nothing in front of me or Dave or Evan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are just think we're just...
Sarah, go get us some beer, eh? That sounded bad. I didn't. Would you please go get us a refreshment, Sarah?
Thank you to our sponsors at Allen Fly Fishing for providing us the once-a-month sponsor giveaway. Last week, we raffled off a Heritage rod, the Heritage Series rod, and this month we're going to do the same thing. So at the last show in April, we're going to raffle off a Heritage Series rod from Allen Fly Fishing. How you can win that is go to our website and click on the donate button, and if you are a monthly donor, you'll be entered in to win. And there's different amounts you can enter, and you'll be entered multiple times for higher amounts, or you can send money to your conservation cause of choice and send us proof that you did so, and you'll be entered. So,
what weight rod can they win?
Yes.
Yes, so you can...
Oh, your choice.
You win your choice. That's, boy, that's... That's
one of whichever one you please.
Very
Anywhere
nice.
from 3 to 6 weight on that series. So some tarpon guy down in Florida is probably going to get it because that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Yep. So that's a sponsor giveaway segment. And on our website now, you may have noticed we've set up a store. Before we had the PayPal buttons, but they didn't work. So now those of you that had issues with that can go on and buy T-shirts and hats and stickers. We got the new stickers now with more girth. If you look up to the microphone there, Kirk's holding them up.
There's like 50% more surface area.
There is. So if you have a sticker, we now have ones that are way bigger.
Yeah.
And you can go on and purchase them from the store, along with T-shirts, hats, foreigners. I don't know, what else do we have on there?
Not much.
No, we need to get some more things, but we're still new.
We're still
We're I think we're ahead of the curve right now, given our age.
It's 10.
I have limited time.
This is show number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that takes two hands to do that.
Plus, that's why we're flip-flops, because you might need to use our feet to count.
Right.
Today.
Right on.
It's about the only good reason I've ever heard for wearing flip-flops here.
Dude, my feet get hot. I'm not going to wear shoes when it's hot outside. My feet get hot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
your
your
feet ever
problem.
get hot?
No.
Not really.
It is a very nice day out. I
It
will
is.
say that. I busted out the notepad today.
You did. We're gonna put that. We're gonna put. If you want to see that on our Facebook and Instagram, you'll get to see a picture of the noped.
Maybe we can get a soundbite of that rumbling exhaust. It's like rolling thunder, baby.
Big old V-twin rolling down.
How big is the engine on that thing?
49.99 cc's.
Is that going to get?
No motorcycle endorsement for it either.
Is that
right under the radar?
Is that going to be able to get back up the street, or even out of my driveway, for that matter?
This is my first time coming down the hill, so I don't know what it... It seems to be a little low on torque, so
So you could walk home.
I might need a ride home.
We'll have to see if it fits in my drift boat while you're here, so we can make plans.
Perfect shuttle vehicle.
Yeah,
Shuttle vehicle.
Shuttle vehicle for the guy who's not in a hurry.
The bicycle would probably be faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anybody want to tell everybody about our tying contest we have going on until the next show? Not everybody at once. All right. We have the tying contest going on. If you can tie your version of our logo fly, if you go to our Facebook or our Instagram or Google Plus, you can look up the hashtag open fly tie, and it'll come up with all of the entries and the criteria which is to match the fly on our logo. There's a secret criteria that nobody has figured out yet. So
Yeah, I haven't.
in all of our entries so far, nobody has quite figured out the secret to winning. No, but let's see if we got like 2 weeks left. Maybe somebody will figure that
It's
out.
pretty obvious. You just look at it.
Yeah, it stands right out, but nobody's done it yet.
Yeah. There's a lot of, the power of observation is more and more a thing of the past.
Yeah.
People just.
Common sense isn't so common anymore.
No.
Oh, I think I get it.
Yeah. We'll talk about it after the break, Dave.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, think that about wraps up our first segment before we go on to break. Anybody else got anything going on? Anything you want to talk about?
No.
I'm good.
No.
You know what, Kirk? We haven't picked a winner from the feedback. Do you want to send some swag to any of the people that sent stuff in?
No.
No?
Not
Okay.
really.
All right.
It wasn't very good quality feedback or.
All right, fine.
Today.
Well, I don't want to pay postage to mail something to Ireland. That's for damn sure.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
So send us more feedback next show, and we'll send out better prizes.
We need a Kirk bobblehead doll with holding like a ruler, so you can stick that in the river and see just how low the water is.
I'll look into that.
Make sure it's got zippered waders on it too. Get it nice and realistic.
I got myself some zippered waders for the first time ever.
Did you use them yet?
No, I'm fishing in Utah in 2 days, so I'm going to take them with me.
They're nice. Well, you are getting older. You turned 30 last week, so
No, I turned 30 in 3 weeks.
Oh, you were talking about it last
Right.
week.
Yeah. No, I've had my Sims G4 waders for 4 seasons now, and they're starting to smell like fart, and not like fish art, but like gas station burritos.
You can clean those, right? You can put them in
Yeah,
the washing machine.
but I'm lazy, and I wanted new things, so I've got new things now.
Well, hey.
So I got the Patagonia Rio Gallegos zipper fronts.
Hey.
I'm very excited. My first zipper front waders. I'm going to feel very high class.
Patagucci, too. Very
Yeah.
nice.
You'll be almost as cool as me.
Almost.
You'll actually more because I had to pay for mine.
This is sounding awful. This is sounding awful promotional now.
Yeah.
Although I have no affiliations to any of these companies. I'm just using these things. So.
Well, hey, it's what we do.
Yeah.
You got a product you like, you can talk about it. Who cares if it promotes? Why
I don't
not?
know. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I have things that I like.
I'm wearing Levi's 501s.
Awesome.
I'm not.
I'm not wearing any pants. It's actually funny because it's true.
I got my pants somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, let's go to break. We should go to break.
Please.
Yeah. All right. This is the Open Fly Podcast. We're going to break. We'll be right back with our conservation segment. We're going to have Morgan Kupfer from CCA Maryland to tell us about stripers and redfish and everything else they have there in the Chesapeake Bay region that they are protecting. So we'll be back in a moment with that.
Now back to the Open Fly.
We are back from break. Kirk, why don't you tell everybody where we went?
Well, we were in the garage.
We were in the garage.
And we were talking about many interesting and engaging topics while having a beer.
Yes, we tried to play hacky sack with a wadded up paper towel.
Yeah.
We learned about a pretty cool game that Dave suggested we do. Dave, what was that game?
I don't know what it's called. It's a game that I saw on TV in the UK where they set up a stick with a can on top of the stick, and then they throw sticks at the stick. Or at the can, sorry, without knocking over the stick.
And there's alcohol supposed to be involved in everything, right?
Yeah, it looked really exciting.
We're going to have to try that on one of our breaks one of these times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sticks.
No, it's a great day out, so we just kind of hung out in the garage and kind of outside in the driveway waiting for Morgan to be ready for his interview. Which reminds me, this is the conservation segment. Today we have Morgan Kupfer from CCA Maryland. Morgan, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Grand. Morgan is also known for his blog, hashtag right? Something like that?
Oh, this is Tightline Tales of a Fly Fisherman?
Yeah, TLTFF.
Nice.
Oh, I've heard of that.
No, I've heard of that.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The website, the full name, and the email are all so long that we had to do a hashtag with the abbreviation.
TLTFF.
Exactly. exactly. Actually, you pronounced it right for once.
Yeah, it's kind of sounds a little bit Native American, kind of like a Northwest dialect.
It's like the spirit name for fishermen.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Morgan, let our listeners know a little bit about what you do with CCA, what CCA is doing in your area, et cetera, et cetera.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I am a member of CCA Maryland. The CCA stands for the Coastal Conservation Association. It's a nationwide nonprofit that is comprised of 17 coastal state chapters. Basically, it spans from the Gulf of Mexico out to the Pacific towards you guys, and then the Atlantic seaboards. Hopefully 18 chapters here shortly. I know CCA Delaware is kind of getting their feet off the ground. But it's a grassroots organization that really puts the fish first. We advocate for the environment and the natural resources we have. And with CCA Maryland, I am on the Government Relations Committee, so I help facilitate conversation and advocacy for politicians, both on the local, state, and federal level. More so people on the board rather than me, but we're basically the ones who go and into the meetings that most of you don't have time to do or want to, and just help advocate for the fish and the environment. And then on a deeper level within the Government Relations Committee, I'm also the head of the Court Watch program, which is basically keeping an eye on the police blotter, the natural resource police blotter for poachers and different people who are out to harm the environment or do illegal activities that have to do with the natural resource. And I basically just help look up their backgrounds, look into their previous history, and keep an open communication with the police so that we can make a presence known in the court cases, or sit there front and center with our CCA pins so that the judge can basically see that we're there because we care about the environment or we care about the fish, and the person that's up for judgment needs to
let us know a little bit about the fish in your area and the issues. So I know you guys, stripers are pretty much top on the priority list for the most part, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We have the Chesapeake Bay that runs directly through the middle of our state, and it's an amazing resource, and it basically is the lifeblood of the state. The state was built off of the watermen and what they do, and essentially, it's come to the point where through farming and, there's a whole host of things that have caused all the problems. So basically, we have the main species. We have the striped bass. We get the bluefish. We have oysters and blue crabs. Everyone knows us for our blue crabs, and so we're out there to essentially protect and advocate for those species. Right now, I believe that it was touched on in the last podcast as far as the striped bass and what's going on with striped bass, and it's funny because a lot of the stuff that was touched on is really the stuff that concerns us as well. It's a nation or the Mid-Atlantic or Atlantic coast thing. This problem, because the striped bass is a migratory fish. Down here we call them rockfish. Up north they call them stripers, and everybody calls them striped bass. But their migration brings them in the spring up into the Chesapeake Bay for their spawn. And right now, we're about 2 weeks out from the season opener, where everyone is going to be getting on their boats, even if they can just find a neighbor with a boat, to get out and get some fish. And we've seen recently a steady decrease in the population. The ASFMC, which was talked about last week as well, has basically stepped out and said, we're not going to take any action right now. But we've seen quota changes on a local level from the state's Department of Natural Resources, where we were fighting pretty hard to lower that number of the quota overall, because we do have a pretty prolific commercial fishery here.
So Maryland, unlike New Jersey, because our guest last week was talking about, we asked about the commercial fisheries, and said that New Jersey didn't have such a thing, but down in Maryland, it sounds like there is a commercial fishery on the striped bass.
There is, and it's kind of funny because with Jersey, I think without them having a commercial fishery, a lot of people think that maybe their impact is minimized. But with the $2 tag for the third fish is actually that's pretty crazy to think that for $2 you can go out and potentially, catch and kill a 50-pound striped bass that is somewhere around 20 years old and could easily lay 1 million eggs.
So how long do those things live? What's the? I mean, what as far as like your breeding age fish? Like how? I mean, it sounds like they live for quite a while then.
Yeah, they get pretty old. I honestly don't know their entire life. I do know that they can get upwards of 20, 25 years old. Big old fish. We call them cows around here. And the opener of the beginning of the season. Right now, we're in the catch and release part of the year, and on April 19th is when the season opens for catch and keep fishing, where it's greater than 28 inches a day and 1 fish per person per day on the recreation side. And essentially what that allows is a 28-inch fish, I believe, is probably around 5 years old, 6 years old maybe. And that's a breeding fish. And, we're basically going out and catching these fish and putting all of this fishing pressure on them when they're trying to spawn. And so, we're stressing the striped bass out. Now, striped bass fishing has been a very important part of the fishery in Maryland, if not the biggest part of the fishery. And this trophy season, what they call trophy season that's coming up, is a huge part of the economy for fishermen, for tackle shops, and even down to the restaurant level for, sponsoring tournaments and stuff like that. And so that's where basically the Coastal Conservation Association, CCA Maryland, has come up with this voluntary restraint campaign that we are starting to do, that we've been running for a couple months now, that's about to kick into full gear. And it's called My Limit is One. And it basically is recreational anglers that are fighting to conserve the marine resources, primarily the striped bass. And it's just, like I said, the voluntary restraint, because the fishing after trophy season, which is mid-May, goes back to catch and release, and then it goes into full-fledged 2 fish per person per day. And so what we're trying to do is encourage people to basically, when they pull those fish in, when they charter a boat, or when they go out on their own boat and catch a few striped bass, when they catch that one that's of size and throw it in their cooler, and then they catch another one, they actually can just think to themselves, do I really need this fish today?
Are you facing a lot of opposition to that?
Initially we did. The forums kind of blew up, and there were a lot of commercial and charter captains that were very upset with the idea. But as time has gone on and we've been promoting it more, and more people have changed their profile pictures or cover photos to the banner we have for it, and stickers have been made and shirts, people are actually catching on and really seem to like the idea.
So even the guides and charters are jumping on board now, or some of them at least.
A few. We do have some charter guys who are actually members of CCA, and they seem to respond positively to it once they've learned. We've set up an entire website for it so that we can help spread the knowledge, because I think initially it was people think, the CCA is out there to just take away our fish and all this stuff, where once you look at it logically and you can actually break down the numbers, you realize that you can sit there and catch a fish one day and then hook into another one, and it's fine to just put it back. And rather than maybe potentially put it in your freezer and then have it go bad down the road, or, have it go to waste.
Yeah.
All right. So switch gears a little bit. You mentioned to me before, after Hurricane Sandy, things changed around there quite a bit. What are some of the things that have changed? Because we touched on that last week, too, with New Jersey. What kind of things did you see around there as well with your fish populations, your habitat, and all that?
Yeah. absolutely. So we didn't see the devastation as far as homes and everything that Jersey saw, and we did have a lot, down trees, lost electricity, stuff like that. The Chesapeake Bay was blown out and basically looked like chocolate milk for a week or two. But from the fish population standpoint, we saw, and it's not necessarily has it been proven that there's a direct correlation, but we saw this extreme surge of redfish population coming up in the bay. And 2 years ago, everybody was catching 14 to 16-inch redfish. And
which prior to that, this is not something you'd really seen before in the bay.
Right. It's, every once in a while you hear a report of guys down in the southern part of the bay catching redfish, and it's a big deal. Well, now we're catching redfish up as far as Baltimore, and which is beyond the Bay Bridge, midpoint of the bay. And people 2 years ago were like, holy smokes, we're catching a lot of these things. And then last year, everybody was catching within the 21-inch range, where we're obviously seeing a return of the same population of fish. And then reports towards midsummer, end of summer came in where guys were actually catching up to 50-inch redfish down in the southern waters of the Chesapeake Bay, who are obviously, breeder fish.
There you go, Derek. There's another redfish location for you to go check out.
Yeah. So you've got redfish and bluefish. We have whitefish. What's a bluefish? I've honestly never heard of that.
A bluefish?
Yeah.
It's kind of self-explanatory, Kirk.
Not.
It's kind of descriptive.
It is a bluefish. It's actually a pretty predatory fish. It's got a mouthful of teeth, but it's another fish population that we see come up the bay pretty often, and usually we have a few that are residents and hang around in the lower parts of the bay. In the bay, they get up to about 28 inches. In the ocean, there are people who have caught 36-inch fish.
And you catch them often? Are they like a bycatch and you're after the other ones?
Yeah, so when you see a blitz, typically what we call a blitz, which is when, there's bait that has been balled up by the game fish and is being basically blitzed upon by other species of game fish, the water looks like it's essentially boiling. And on the bay, what we look out for is birds that are congregating and then hitting the surface of the water because they're taking advantage of that bait being pushed up against the surface. Since it has nowhere to go, it's basically hitting a ceiling. And what you get is that water's not only boiling from the bait fish, but because these bluefish are up on top and they're just tearing apart these fish. And then the striped bass are the smart ones that are conserving their energy and sitting below the bluefish and picking up the extras. I know in Montauk it's a different story. There's a lot bigger bait fish and a lot more striped bass stay towards the surface. But
can we use that as a segue? We talked about bait fish last week too, so I want to get the Maryland story on that. They're having bait fish issues. I can't remember Menhaden. Is that the name of the bait fish?
Yeah.
So what is some of the issues that CCA is doing there that you guys are dealing with?
Yeah, so we're dealing with the same issues that Jersey is with the Menhaden. We're fighting the commercial fishery. Basically, the Menhaden is where you get your fish, some of your fish oils or fish pills and all kinds of stuff. They make, I think, cat food out of it. And what we've done is we've just fought, to help bring down the creel limits or the quotas for the commercial fishermen. Because we've learned that the forage fish, the Menhaden, basically are the reason that the striped bass that's one of their primary food sources. And if you manage the forage fish, you can more easily manage the game fish population because that is their source of food. So it's basically the same fight as Jersey. We're fighting to drop commercial, because there's a commercial fishery. We're fighting to drop the commercial fishery quotas and creel limits and to more help the striped bass population.
So, with the striped bass and all that, do you have things like hatchery programs or anything like that? Is that part of your management out there? Kind of like what we deal with out here. Out here, CCA is very pro-hatchery, while the Native Fish Society groups are very anti-hatchery. Is there a similar thing going on out there?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. With CCA in general is a association, the local chapters each have their own management ideas, and so they are managed by 100% nationally by the Conservation Association. So, Washington has their own director who does his thing, and in Maryland here, we do not have, as far as I know, a hatchery program for striped bass. We do for trout to stock our streams and everything, but for striped bass, that's why we fight so hard for the fish, because it's a natural resource that naturally reproduces and does its own thing, and we need to make sure that not only are we protecting the fish and putting the fish first, but we're also protecting the habitat that that fish needs and the forage fish and the food that it needs to continue to maintain that population. One of the problems that we saw this year was we were fighting so hard to try and drop that quota for the commercial fishery, and then it kind of almost as a blindside, the Department of Natural Resources raised the quota by 14%. And so that's where My Limit Is One kind of came around, where, we have a good relationship with our Department of Natural Resources, but when we have a 14% increase, when we're fighting for a decrease, the only way that we can battle it is basically come up with this, voluntary restraint to help people understand that even though they increase the commercial quota, let's do our part to make sure that this population stays strong.
So out here we talk about this a lot, and I'm sure you guys too. You have like the commercial value of a fish, which is pennies to the dollar, basically. What is do they have numbers for the recreational value for a fish there? Do you have any numbers like that?
As far as how it stimulates the economy?
Yeah, I know you posted recently about the bonefish in Florida. Is there something similar with stripers where you're at?
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but I do know that the striped bass fishery, for what it does to the economy as far as people going into tackle shops, even down to the fuel that they put into their boats, because we don't have a fishery that you can really fish hard within the Chesapeake Bay from land. Most of it is done from boats. Some people can fish from piers and such, but I'd say it's probably a couple million a year that comes back into the Maryland economy just because of one fish.
Gotcha. What was the value you said of the bonefish down in Florida? I remember it was pretty staggering per fish.
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable. I think per fish it was, I don't even remember.
Like $7,500 a year, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Unbelievable. I mean, and it's, that's a fish that they have that we don't, and then we have a fish that they don't. It just shows how much of an impact one species in general can make on a state.
Yeah, we do the same thing out here with steelhead and salmon and all that to try and show that because the recreational anglers don't quite have the voice in legislation that the commercials and all that do. But if you can show numbers and money and say, hey, the recreational value of this fish is far beyond what the commercial value is, it gives us a leg up in certain things. So I think that's an aspect people need to start paying more attention to and start getting some real studies done on that, because I think that's one of the real tools we're going to have to get that.
Absolutely.
Get that going.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the whole quota, the science that goes behind the quota even is amazing. I mean, you're looking at, and our quota for commercial striped bass is broken down into multiple categories, but essentially it's pound nets and gill nets, hook and line, and then you have just basically a broad spectrum of landed gears, and then there's they maintain the harvest numbers and everything, and each one is allocated to certain commercial fishermen, and so that goes down to the charter guys or head boats, that take multiple people out with a 25-rod spread that are trolling it across the bay, all the way down to the guys who are putting their nets along the shore to try and catch these in the pound nets or the gill nets.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. We're about out of time here. Did anybody else have anything else you wanted to add or ask or like that?
I just want to clarify that...
Kirk, you're the guy with the good questions. He even said so himself that one time about in that one thing.
Well, everybody has a rough day. No, it's a big topic. I mean, there's a lot of questions you could ask.
And it's kind of a new one. We're just sitting here kind of taking it in because we don't, honestly, I know little to nothing about the striper fishery. Even with my job in the industry and having customers that are part of that fishery, I've never really learned a whole lot about it. And I'm actually going with Morgan next month to go see it firsthand. So I'm going to do some field research.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
All conservation-minded field research.
Stripers, in your local dialect, stripers has 1 P, correct?
Yeah, stripers. We don't have as many of the double P's around here.
That's unfortunate.
And if you did, you wouldn't want any of the old cows.
Oh, gosh.
That's what you get on a Monday.
There's a striper for everyone, Kirk.
I love it.
No, they have the double P kind all over where Dave and Sarah here live. In fact, it's a destination. Guys in this area go up there for that fishery.
Oh, the Canadians.
Catch and release.
Catch and release. The redfish district.
Hey, there we go. Nice.
There's a reason why we have him around, and that's it right there.
The redfish district.
I do have a quick thing to add really quick.
No.
You guys had mentioned
Time is up.
Invasive species.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was last show. We're over it.
Yeah, we do have quite a bit of invasive species
I don't believe
that
it.
are actually affecting the populations as well.
Asian carp?
Rainbow trout?
I wish they were carp. I love carp.
Snakeheads.
Yeah, snakeheads, which actually,
Those are a terrifying creature.
That is an apex predator right there.
So are they actually having an impact on things?
They were initially, but the DNR's kind of basically said, we can't eradicate them. Let's just deal with them. And so it's still illegal to possess a live snakehead. If you do want to keep it, you have to kill it on the spot. But you can also return them, which a lot of people think that you have to kill them when you catch them, which we advocate for. But you can release them if you want. I mean, it's no big deal.
So they're not as brutally invasive, or they're not having as big of an impact on native fish or game fish than was originally thought. Not as. It was kind of a craze at first. No, they're not having as big of a game fish. But I'll tell you what, it's an amazing fish to catch on the fly. Holy smokes! How? What's the fishery like? Are you going to go out and slay a bunch of hogs, or is it like you got to work a couple trips to get one?
On the fly, they are definitely a couple of trips. No one has really dialed them in 100% on the fly yet, but I think we're pretty close. And the shad run's about to start here, so we'll start seeing them come up and breathe air and stare through your soul soon.
I love shadding. Shadding is one of my favorite things to do.
Where do the snakeheads come from?
Asia.
We don't know where they initially came from, but they're kind of everywhere
Vietnam
now.
or
There's like
Thailand.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a theory that someone brought one over from Vietnam and dropped it. It was all started actually like 20 minutes from my house in this pond in one of the local towns. Someone found one, and then next thing you know, they'd found them everywhere because they can breathe air and they can walk on land. So
Well, I would use a lizard pattern probably because snakes eat lizards.
They do.
Dog pattern.
And mice.
Dog pattern?
I say that because I think it was last year we had a report of a lake I think it was in Burnaby, just outside Vancouver, where they found a snakehead.
Really?
And someone said that they found it because it was trying to attack a dog, which obviously is overstated. That didn't really happen, but there was
So like it was out of the water and their dog was nearby.
Yeah, exactly. But they were in the lake and they nuked the lake. So
Canadians with tall
I'm just
tales.
waiting for a Sci-Fi Channel movie to come on. Snakeheads 3D or something.
Yeah,
like
it'd be like you got piranhas and Sharknado and Snakehead Kane, Snakehead Quake. That's intellectual property of the Open Fly podcast. If anybody releases those movies, I need a royalty.
Hey, I get some too.
Yeah.
No, that was my idea.
One of the local guides is actually I believe he's getting his stealth craft wrapped in a snakehead print.
Huh.
That's awesome.
How many dead snakeheads would it take as a bounty to fill the gas tank in the corporate jet for the Open Fly podcast?
All right. Is there a bounty?
Oh, you could do it. You could do it so quick. I don't know if it's legal, but I caught and killed one last year on the fly. And some guy ran up to me. He didn't speak a lick of English and handed me a $20 bill and just took my snakehead out of my hand and ran away.
He probably took it home and made an aphrodisiac out of it or something.
Have you eaten it yet?
Oh, it's probably the best eating fish in the world. I swear, I'm not even kidding. It is amazing.
When I'm there in a couple months, can we harvest one?
Yeah, we can harvest one and eat it and do whatever we want. Yeah.
Notice I didn't say catch one on the fly. I just we'll harvest it one way or another. I want to try it.
I'll bring a big tuna gaff.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. I'm liking this.
My gaff's never been used before. Why not start it on a snakehead?
Yeah. All right.
So how big do the snakeheads get?
The biggest I think the state record is like, I don't know, upper 30s inches. Mine was 36 last year.
I was going to say 30 pounds, and I was just like, sweet.
Oh, no, right. That would eat my daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, no. The one I caught last year was 36, and the guys were going crazy over it, so I assumed that was big. And I mean, that's a mean fish. It actually broke my 8 weight. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got snakehead envy.
Yeah.
Come out and fish them. I'll put you on them. You're going to laugh until you first see one come up and breathe and look at you. Mm-hmm. They literally come up and they gulp air and they stare at you and then
stare into your soul.
Yeah, they do. It's terrifying. It's like I'm waiting for one to whisper, "I'm going to get you."
I think, Derek is holding up a picture of a snakehead.
That's a snakehead right there, Kirk. Would you really want to go after that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I can see it.
Yeah, just hold it up to the microphone there.
It looks like.
No, they're a terrifying creature.
I don't know about that.
Those of you at your
that invasion of the snakehead in the East Coast.
Yeah, those of you at your home PCs can pull it up on the Googler.
Actually, I know there's a outdoor writer from BC named Ian Forbes who goes over to, pretty sure it's Thailand every year and fishes for snakeheads, and that's been for about 15 years now.
Oh. So what does it taste like?
Chicken.
That's easy. Chicken. That's easy. Look at that one. You wouldn't want to see that in the toilet, would you?
No. Start crying.
Ooh. Go on.
It just tastes like a white meat, like a white fish, like a tilapia or a herring or something.
Tilapia. That's on the tops of my fish list.
There's a cobra.
I'm shaking my head into the microphone.
It tastes like a white fish.
Okay.
Rocky Mountain whitefish.
Only not terrible like tilapia.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you can do anything you want with it. But it does have a double lateral line, so you have to cut those out.
Oh. Shad are like that too. Shad don't have like a definite way to cut the meat out.
Yeah, you just have to kind of do it.
Mm-hmm. So, anything else cool or exciting going on out there that we should banter about, or are we going to let you go because we're at our time limit here?
No, we'll talk more about it when you get out here and we get you on some fish.
Yeah. I hope you get some snakeheads out there.
Yeah, dude, I want to picture you with a snakehead.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing up the horns.
Yeah. Yep.
That is pretty metal.
Hey, when you guys want to come out east, I will put you on some snakehead ASAP. We will get you on snakehead. The more people that want to fish them, the better.
Dude,
sweet.
Nice. I might even go out east to fish snakeheads.
We'll have him come out here and put him on some squawfish.
Yeah, I could totally. No, the politically correct term is the northern pike minnow.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Oh, I call them squawfish.
Don't say squaw.
Yeah, by my old apartment, before I moved here, there's a little stream that ran by it that was loaded with them, and I'd go down there with my 6-weight and big streamers and basically do like brown trout style fishing and like strip these big streamers across the stream, and these squawfish would just shoot out of nowhere and nail it.
Northern pike minnow.
And they'd be upwards of like 20 to 25 inches on the high end. So it was as cool as anything.
That's a big.
They're if you go in the middle of like June or July, they're big. And it was a good time.
No,
we can put everybody on a fish. I know Derek wants a redfish. Kurt, he'll catch anything.
Yeah,
or won't.
Yeah, he won't. He'll try though.
We'll get you a snakehead. We'll just have you whittle your finger in the water.
Okay.
And Ian, being the local metal expert, will probably want the most terrifying fish.
Oh, snakehead.
Yeah.
I'll freaking noodle for snakeheads.
I got $5 on that. I'll pay for your plane ticket to see that shit.
Everybody noodles for snakeheads one time.
I swear to God, right now I'll pay that money.
Start a fundraiser to send Ian to Maryland for noodling snakehead.
Don't let Ian die without noodling a snakehead. Please send money now.
Do you endorse this method of snake heading?
Yeah, any way you want to kill them.
So do you think noodling is a good idea?
No, but yeah, I don't know.
It'd be entertaining.
Do the old Saddam Hussein method and throw a grenade in the water and see what comes up.
Yeah, because I got a pile of grenades right here. I'll come right over.
Shh, NSA.
Oh, right.
Oh, yes.
Wait, everybody wave to the NSA.
On the watch list.
NSA.
There are no explosive in the Shark Shack, everybody.
Well,
Touche.
I'm looking at 5 of them right now. When we drink enough of these sessions, we'll have some explosions in here.
lucky Sarah.
Yeah.
Mine says paper. At least I got paper, so I'm good.
Like 2 people know what that means. The session beers that we're drinking, on the bottom of the caps, they have rock, paper, scissors, so he got the paper. Very interesting. All right, Morgan, you should probably go until we just start rambling for no reason.
Yeah, I have a lot of important stuff I need to do.
I know, you got blogging
You got the shocker.
and all that to do.
Scissors. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Actually, I do have to blog, and I've got a phone call with Hank Patterson next. So,
Oh, name droppers.
Hey,
We've talked to him before.
We run in the same circles.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. That man wouldn't give me the time of day unless it was to tell me about his Chinese buffet.
Don't sell yourself short.
Hank can be very generous with his time. He's just going to put a hat out for offerings when he's done.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I'll give him booze.
There you go. All right, Morgan, thank you for filling us in on the Chesapeake Bay fisheries. We learned a lot because prior to this, were pretty ignorant of such a thing. I didn't know fish still lived in that area. I thought we'd kill them all.
You can check out CCA at CCA Maryland or CCAMD.org. Mm-hmm. And then our My Limit Is One campaign is mylimitis1.com.
Mylimitis1.com.
And then where's your blog at?
My blog is Tightline Tales of a Fly Fisherman. Just Google it. It's a lot easier than typing in the URL. Or you can find us on Facebook, Twitters, and the Instagrams at TLTFF.
We are also on the Instagrams.
Yes, you can.
We'll see you there.
Find a lot of our stuff and the open fly stuff on there, and check out cool stuff that's on the Instagram.
It's a good network for the socializing.
Yeah, especially for
clever.
I'm sure that the teenagers love it.
They do. All right, Morgan. Thanks again. I will see you in a couple weeks or months, or I don't know. I have no sense of time anymore.
Cheers.
Sometime soon.
Yeah.
Thanks
guys. Morgan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Maryland and stripers and bluefish and snakeheads.
Redfish and whitefish and
bluefish and
One fish, 2 fish.
3 fish.
snakefish
My
with
fish.
crazy teeth that we're going to noodle for. Ian is again. Everybody help a starving Ian
Yes, starving Ian.
live out his lifelong dream of noodling.
Ian should noodle for snakefish with his noodle.
Wait a minute. What do you mean?
With his beard.
I got 10 of these things and
One of those.
and I'll
You know what would be metal, Ian, is for you to braid in some tippet and some leader into your beard and chinfish.
I think that
I've done some toe fishing before. Have you done any chin fishing before?
No, but now you've given me ideas.
That's what I'm here for.
I like the idea of fishing for a quarry that actually can hurt you. We're pretty safe out here.
We're pretty safe. We don't really have much.
I have a snakehead hanging from my beard.
I think the most dangerous thing we have in our local waters are like bull trout, and they just have moderately sharp gums.
Sturgeon.
Yeah.
Sturgeon.
Well, sturgeon don't have teeth at all.
No, but they got flukes that are razor sharp.
Stingrays.
True.
We have stingrays.
Flukes. Eh?
We don't have stingrays.
Flukes.
We do not have stingrays.
You got to be careful of otters, river otters, and beavers out here, though.
Sasquatch.
They'll take you
Those
down.
beavers.
Yeah, but you're not fishing for beavers.
No, but you're fishing, and it can be a byproduct.
Although I take that back, I've caught lingcod on the fly here, and they have extremous large
Okay.
teeth.
There you go. Sharks. We have sharks
We do.
Yeah, we have 7 gills.
and dogfish.
And dogfish have venomous spines.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Don't ever get stuck with one of those.
Okay,
Yeah.
dogfish wins.
They
Yeah.
get mad at you when you catch them too. They're pissed.
Yeah, they're not safe.
And it's not even worth getting stung by a dogfish.
No. And I've actually heard they're really, really tasty.
No,
which
they're not.
I've heard they are.
Well, you've had a fillet of fish, so it's basically that's what it is.
Back in the day, and I'm talking 30 plus years ago, when you'd be out trolling for salmon in the ocean, and you would invariably get into a school of dogfish and just catch them one after another. The rule of thumb was cut their belly open and throw them back in the water.
Really?
Yeah, that was the old days.
Well, I remember when I was a kid on my uncle's boat. I won't say his name or anything because this is what they did back then. He thought it was fun to whenever they'd catch a couple at a time, they'd take 2 hooks and tie a line between it, so you had a line with a hook on each end, and they would hook one in each dogfish's mouth and throw them back.
Not like a bolo line.
Yeah.
Polo dog.
He for some reason thought that was humorous. I, of course, don't advocate doing that nowadays, but I just remember that was one of my first fishing memories in the saltwater as a kid.
People used to do stuff like that with bull trout.
Really?
They were.
That is bullshit.
Yeah. Much maligned as
people
a species.
hated them.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, thankfully we think much better of them now, or do we?
Which we should about dogfish, maybe.
Yeah. No.
We do. We're a kindler, gentler people these days.
Yes, we've come a long ways.
Everybody gets a trophy,
but we still have. Yay! I win.
You're hindering the discussion, Kirk, with that.
It's a Monday. We never do a show on a Monday.
Never. Oh, we do now.
Odd.
Show 10.
I don't like it.
Something's off.
Something's just off.
It is. I'm okay with it.
All right.
It's the Canadians. We can blame it on them.
Definitely.
Should we move on to our
what's
guides?
next?
Should we do on to guide stories?
Let's go to a break.
Yeah, we need a break.
I must pee again.
Yes.
Dave's like rocking around in his seat, kind of.
Can you cue the banjos for the next intermission song, or what's going on here?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Black Oak, Arkansas.
We're going down south.
Yeah, we're going to go down to the extreme southern Missouri to learn about catching large trout on large streamers
In the Ozarks.
Yay.
with Brian Weiss. Brian Weiss is famous. He might be the most famousest guide
Well, we'll
we've
see.
talked to yet.
We'll see.
We're going to take him up a notch, too.
I mean, besides Hank Patterson, this might be the most second famous guide that we've had yet.
Well, I've never heard of him, so let's go.
Oh,
Yay.
that was rude.
I fished with Dave Henry yesterday. That's the most famous guy I know.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, his
That's-
wife caught
that's
fish.
pathetic.
And his wife caught fish. So
All right, we're going to go to break.
that's the way I planned it, though, eh?
All right.
I'm not coming back.
No. All right. You know what show you're listening to, and unfortunately, we're going to be back in a few minutes or seconds because there's no commercial to play on this break. Okay, bye.
Now back to the open fly.
Once again, we are back from break.
That was a better break.
It was a much better break.
Yeah.
Yeah, this time Sarah, Dave's wife, brought us food and snacks and cut up some avocados and some charcuterie and
Oh, it's nice to have a woman's touch at the open fly.
On or around and near.
thanks, Kirk. Sarah, how do you feel about that?
I still was the only one who caught fish yesterday. So
Oh.
Hey, look at that.
She handed me a loony and said, I need to get the first fish today. So I said, all right, that's fine. Or was it a toonie?
For those of you that don't know, a loony is a $1 coin.
Canadians are funny that way, right?
They are.
A dollar coin.
Yeah.
And a loony or toonie is a $2 coin, right?
Right.
Like a Susan B. Anthony.
Well, what else would you call it? A toonie.
No, yesterday was a good day because, as a guide, when you get a chance to fish with other guides, you get to learn something from them as well. And Dave is quite handy with a two-handed rod in terms of trout lengths is what I saw yesterday, and his wife is as well, so that was fun to...
He holds his own with two hands.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Who would you say is better with two hands, Sarah or Dave?
Sarah.
Sarah.
Well, here's how this went. Let me tell you how the day went down.
Kirk's holding his own.
So we get in the water, and he brought 3 rods with him, and I could tell that one was his favorite. And Dave gave his wife his rod, which was new, right?
Fairly new.
Fairly new, and fiberglass, a little bit softer. And he chose another one. And she got the first fish.
Cool story, Derek.
Yeah,
Hey, Derek, I think we're on your guide story segment.
that's why we're telling stories.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, but not this guide. We've already done his segment. How about the guy that we have on the phone that's sitting there kind of waiting for us
I
to
guess we'll get to it.
acknowledge his
Hold,
presence?
listening to
Yeah, he's on
elevator
hold.
music.
We just called him. Now he's just kind of sitting there listening to us talk and has no idea if he's even going to be involved in this
So
conversation.
we're going south, y'all, for guide
Extreme
stories.
South.
We're going south.
Sorry.
Extreme southern Missouri. We're talking with Brian Wise today. So
Go ahead.
I have fished in Missouri before, but my only experience there has been, let's see, the White River below, if I'm doing this correctly, the White River below Taneycomo. Is that right, Brian, or is that a different place?
That's a completely different place.
Oh, well, then I haven't fished where you are then. So.
Brian, how extreme is southern Missouri?
It depends on where you're going in southern Missouri. I mean, we can... It depends on your level of extremity. So.
Extremity. Extremity.
How low are you willing to go?
So Brian is known quite well, I guess, for streamer tactics down on the White River. And let's hear some stories from you today, Brian. Tell us about what you do and your fishery, and why should people think about extreme southern Missouri as a place to go to catch big fish?
Well, first of all, there's a White River that's below the Bull Shoals Dam. That's a tailwater, and obviously it's the world class, crazy fishery that everyone's heard about. I'm on, like we said, the Missouri side of all this. I'm on the North Fork of the White River, which basically you take out all the dams that we have in the White River region, and I'm like on what would be one of the originals. So, it's upstream of all that, all the lakes and all that good stuff. But, we still have those big nasty browns that like to eat big nasty streamers. So we're still neck and neck.
We're a big fan of big and nasty here. So
yeah.
Good company.
Tell us how you discovered this fishery. I mean, again, most people, when they think about fly fishing for big browns, they don't think about southern Missouri. So tell us how you discovered this fishery and how you kind of developed it.
No, honestly, I lived and grew up around here, and I'm not one of those guys that lived and grew up with a fly rod in my hands. I was a late bloomer, and I was busy in sports and all that stuff for years and years when I was growing up. Then after I got into college and got away from sports and everything, I was just I met a gal, and she took me fishing.
Wait a minute.
Right. Yes.
Go on.
She took me fishing and got me back into the sport. And so you should probably be interviewing her.
Did you marry that gal?
Is that a question? Did you just ask that guy? Yes.
Kirk is known as the guy that throws out the best questions at the open fly. So that's as good as they get.
That's my one good question of the day, Brian. The bar is low.
Good. Now we know where you are. Yeah, that's good. but no, and she's actually the one that got me into fly fishing. We were doing a lot of river fishing, mostly smallmouth around here, and I was just kind of getting bored with the same thing over and over and over. And she's the one that threw it on the table. Hey, why don't you try fly fishing? And yeah, I did. But the streamer thing came later, several years later, after I had I'd stung some of these fish, with some nymphs and stuff like that here and there, and we landed some big fish. But it wasn't really until a rep threw a sex dungeon in my lap and said, "What do you think of that?" Which
I don't know what I think of that.
It's a hell of a lap dance.
You were in a sex dungeon, or you got thrown into a sex dungeon? Or what landed on you?
Yeah, it landed on me.
Oh, then it's okay.
You start talking Gallup's patterns, and then you have to really put an asterisk out there. But
yeah, it's like mine. My signature fly is the crusty tube sock.
I've heard that.
I don't know why you want to be famous for that, dude.
Yeah, don't encourage him, Brian.
I'd much rather be famous for the fly that Brian is, the panty dropper. Tell us about the panty dropper.
Oh gosh, that was I tie all these flies. I can't claim any of them. I'm not a fly designer by any means. I'm not really a fly tire. I'm kind of like the wedding singer of streamer tires. So
there are a bunch of patterns. I think it's getting to the point where whoever can come up with the coolest name is going to have the coolest fly for the next 15 minutes.
How am I doing on that?
Pretty good.
So is that, I mean, going on that track, I mean, there's a lot of things that guides, develop reputations for, whether it be, a particular type of fish or in a particular place or a famous fly. What is it about you that that motivates you to be the guide that you are, and why should people come and fish with you?
Well, I'm slowly starting to lean toward this whole. It sounds a little rough, but it's like a hero or zero type of scenario. It's a lot like your musky fishing type of stuff. I mean, it really is, but it's just this brown trout, and we're taking all this new equipment and these new flies and these techniques and everything, and we're making it very doable for, the average everyday guy. With big streamers, you tend to think, well, it's go big or go home, and that's kind of the way we think. Which is a little rough, because it's really not that. But it's we see fish, we move fish constantly. It's its own beast. Let's put it that way. It's definitely not for everybody. I'll be the first to admit it. I'll have guys that book trips and say, yes, I'm ready to go. And you started off with doom and gloom. It's like, okay, you do know you're not going to catch a fish today. And they're like, wait, what? So, it's definitely not for everybody, but the guys that stick with it and do it, even if they don't get a big eat, or if they only see a big fish roll all over it or something, I've never had anybody say, I really wish I had never done that or never met you. So, had some guys with some sore shoulders after 3 or 4 days that have cast me, but that's cool. That's okay.
What's the guide culture like down there? Up here, it's you've got guys that only guide for steelhead, guys that guide for trout and steelhead. Some people come in from out of state and fish here. I specialize in just a couple of rivers because that's my style. What is the guide culture like out there?
The guide culture, on my river, on the North Fork of the White River, I say my river, that may sound a little pompous, but that's okay. We're all really close. We've got a really, really good group of guys. There's not a whole lot of us that guide on the North Fork of the Whites. And, to be honest with you, I've fished in the last 3 months with every single one of them. So, it's really, really cool that, it's a lot different than the tailwaters. And it's on the tailwaters, you're talking hundreds of guides, from, bait guys to, stuff like that. And I talk about the tailwaters so closely because they're literally 30 minutes from where I sit right now. So, this whole region is all kind of one and the same, but they are polar opposites when it comes to the fisheries and everything like that. So ours is really cool. We're really lucky. I just threw a trip to somebody that I've been guiding against, you could say, for 6 or 7 years. I was booked and my two other guys were booked, so threw it on down, and it's really, really cool. I'm really lucky that we don't have any drama. We don't have the whole, we really don't. It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of some of the areas. You got various areas here with a little bit different cultures, but it seems like everybody that guides with somebody else goes through like a guide divorce, and there's drama. And
yeah.
What's the average age of guides that are out there? Is it a young guy's game? Is it people that have been doing it for 20, 30 years?
On the North Fork of the White, it's a very young guy's age. You're talking, I think the oldest, holy cow, I think I'm the oldest guy.
Flat brim hats and puffies and white sunglasses, is that kind of the scene?
On the White River in Arkansas, it goes from really young to some older legends. It's a little bit of everything down there. You've got some guys that are pretty old for the game, and then you've got some very young guns that are coming in and doing the same. But I think I really think that I'm completely depressed now, and I honestly think I'm the oldest guy on the North Fork of the White. I haven't thought about that. But thanks a lot for messing my whole day up.
Yeah, since we got Dave Henry down from British Columbia here, and he's kind of known for doing trout on the two-hander, has the two-handed thing really happened there yet? Has anybody really tried it? Or any of the guides throwing those in their boat?
We went through quite a bit of a switch rod thing when we get that's about as big. I mean, we're not talking the full on spade.
Well, no, nor would you. I think, Dave, what are you typically using? Like 11-foot, 4 or 5 weights
between 11 and 12 feet is ample for most.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When we started with streamers, that was something that you as you learn, if it's such a new game, you throw everything into it and try to figure it out. And switch rods were something that I jumped into first right off the bat because it made sense. Reaching out and touching something with something like that was a lot easier than having to deal with everything you have to deal with behind you with everything. So yeah, we are doing a little bit of that. It's kind of gone. We've kind of gotten away from it. We've gotten to gear-wise. We've kind of gotten to bigger gear, bigger, heavier weighted rods and shorter rods, just single-hand rods, and that's where we ended up because we're leaning more toward drift boat style of fishing. So that's where we're coming at now, though.
Gotcha. So you have achieved a certain level of fame. You've got a couple of television shows going. You've been on a lot of appearances. How has that changed you as a person, or has it? Have you been able to stay grounded despite all of this newfound fame?
Or have you turned into a pompous ass?
Well, he now owns the river that he fishes.
Right, it's his river.
Because you know what, Brian, we deal with the same thing here, so we're just we're looking for advice because we don't know how to handle the fame and the attention. So really, this is more of a question for you to help us.
You notice how we get a lot of famous guests on the show to help elevate our game, so.
Yeah, that's just it. I was trying not to laugh just out of sheer respect for you, because to me that's the funniest thing in the world. It just happens to be that I happen to know a lot of really awesome people, and they said, "Hey, do you want to fish?" And I said, "Sure." So yeah, I don't have a clue where to go with that because. Number one, it's completely hilarious to me for any kind of fame to be thrown with my name. That's funny. And it's wrong. That's so far from right.
Yeah, that's a good attitude. Rather than being blatantly a pompous ass.
Yeah, I should be. That would be more fun.
Own up to it. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can make up some stuff and really sound bad if you want, but
we can do 2 takes. We'll interview Brian Weiss, the pompous ass, next.
Yeah. I don't know. He does do a lot of videos, so maybe moving into kind of doing the rap video thing and meshing it with fishing. So you got girls on the boat, making it rain.
Making it rain.
Brian, you can have that idea. Usually I claim these ideas for myself, but I'm gonna let you kind of run with it. You're the video guy, so
gold teeth always work,
right?
Yeah.
So, Brian, if I'm a listener of this show and I'm in, on the East Coast or the West Coast, where do I fly in to get to close to your area? How do I get to find you? Website address, all that kind of stuff.
So we are, like I said, we're in South Central Missouri. We're pretty close to Springfield, Missouri. Springfield, Missouri, which is the claim to fame is the Bass Pro headquarters.
Actually, the claim to fame is my daughter was born in Springfield, Missouri. So
that is more famous than Bass Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. My boys were both born in Springfield as well. So
you guys are practically related.
Down there, that's probably not that big of a stretch.
Cue the banjo music.
Brian's.
I was waiting on the banjo. Anyway,
Brian is now full of regret.
Yeah. As you were saying,
out of the gutter.
Yeah, as you were saying.
No, we are out of Springfield, Missouri. We're about an hour and a half out of Springfield, Missouri, southeast of Springfield, and we're actually in the metropolis of Dora, Missouri. There's a gas station that has breakfast, lunch, and you can buy like horse tranquilizers there.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Do you keep a couple of those in your guide boat when you got that unruly client?
Yeah, exactly.
Slip one in their orange juice in the morning, wake them up after the day is over, and go, "Man, that was great, wasn't it?"
Yeah.
if we can add to the stereotype, then that's the best thing we can do.
Oh no, we don't want to do that here. We don't. No, we don't want to do that here. So, website address again. So, someone would fly into Springfield and drive down and meet up with you and get on the water. Are you using a drift boat or?
Yep, using a drift boat. We're using drift boats, skiffs, and we do. I do have a buddy and a guide that guides out of the long old style wooden john boats, which is really really cool. But my site is flyfishingtheozarks.com, and that's me, and find it on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff.
What level of angler would you? I mean, if you could just set like an ideal guest for the day, what level of experience would you like them to have, and what should they expect in terms of what to do for the day? We're first and foremost we're a wild trout stream. We're a wild rainbow stream. No, believe it or not. So it really kind of depends. We kind of get a bad rap every once in a while because we're so close to the tailwaters. Where hundreds of thousands of trout are stocked, every day and stuff like that. We haven't had rainbow stocked in the river since the mid '60s. So it's very western. It's a very western river, and so it really really depends on the level of all the many different possibilities. If you have a very solid fisherman, they can absolutely have their hat handed to them. And you have somebody that's never fished before, they can come out and catch 40. It's just, it's a little give and take, but it's insanely. We probably shouldn't have this river where we are. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The food base and everything is just like out west. I mean, it's really odd for South Central Missouri. I'll have to advise my wife not to listen to this show because then she'll want me to go back down to extreme southwest Missouri. I always get out of that trip every year, but
given the quality of the fishery, is it a crowded river?
Oh, not at all.
No,
no. There are times there are getting to be a lot of people bringing personal drift boats, which is pretty cool. And that's about all you run into. The river, we don't have a whole lot of accesses. Our state, our Missouri Department of Conservation, we don't have very many access. There's one boat ramp that's public for the whole river. So it's a little sketchy with, put-ins and takeouts and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not very crowded at all.
So you have to know somebody.
In the summer.
You got to know somebody to be able to effectively float it.
Well, not technically. To effectively float it, you just kind of have to know where to put in to take out and everything like that. But it's pretty good. Our outfitters are phenomenal. All the outfitters on the river are phenomenal with helping people, that are just going to come fish the river by themselves. Yeah. So it's really good.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything out of that sticks out of your mind as a good story you want to share with us before we go?
A good story besides the banjos are not there.
Well, we expected the banjos, yeah.
Yeah, something that might be a little less expected.
Do you ever have anybody get a fish pull anybody out of the boat into the water, or have to save anybody's life?
I've never had to save anybody's life, but I'm a guy that is just a little on the shorter stature. side.
Hey,
Like
we have one of those here.
Like, would you say
I
taller
know,
than
right?
Kirk or shorter than Kirk?
You go first.
I'm a whole like 5'8", okay?
Damn it! What's that like?
That's only an inch shorter than me.
Amazing.
I'm 5'9", so we got the whole upper fives represented here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the usual.
So you're shorter than you're shorter than the average guide. Is that the story, or is there something?
It goes farther.
Okay.
Continue the story.
I'm an exceptionally older man in the boat fishing, and he's one.
Hey, we have one of those too.
Guy.
Oh, it's the same guy.
For drift boat guides, they'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not in the leg locks, you're
going to have a bad time.
Yeah, and this guy is 6'5", 280 something, and here I am, 5'3", 120, and and I tell him all day, you need to stay in the leg locks. Stay in the leg locks. And I'm warning him all the way up to this rock. I'm like, okay, we have to touch one of these rocks. Get in the leg locks. In the leg locks. Boat hits, and here goes 6'5" with me like a hamster or something, jumping. And you know how the phenomenal strength of a mom that has something she can lift her car off of.
Yeah.
I basically threw that big dude up with one hand and maybe just my pinky finger. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And
I believe that.
And of course, and set him down. But that was. Trust me, that is all I wanted. But
So you got a couple really fishy kids that show up in a lot of your pictures and stuff. Those are your kids, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I do.
And
I do.
They slay. It looks like.
They do. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, both boys, and actually, it's funny you bring them up. I had to get out of the house. I'm sitting in my car for this interview, so and they knew it. And I told them, I was like, okay, you leave me alone. I'm gonna be out here. This is very, very important. And so I looked at the house twice to see these eyes, like cross-eyed and sticking their tongue out.
Nice.
And they're doing it right now. But no, they're very, very cool kids. My oldest is probably the one that's excuse me, that has he'll outfish me next year. I mean, the kid he's one of those people that's good at everything that you just love to hate.
Yeah.
It's like, how in the world are you doing that? But he double hulled when he was 7. He's done a casting demo for me, and I mean, just.
Can we talk to him?
Just really.
Put your son on the line.
Yeah.
We'll be appropriate.
He would be so much better, and he can be. I'll be honest with you. He can be a little pompous. So that would be the other end of the. There's your pompous wise story.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, I think, Brian, I found out about your kids through a video that you posted a couple of years ago, and I was just impressed. I mean, not only were they, really proficient, particularly for their age, but looked like they're just thoroughly enjoying it, just having a ball when they were out fishing. So you're doing something right.
Oh yeah, they do. They absolutely love it. It's something that they've done. I've been doing it since well before they were born. So they've grown up with me, tying flies all the time, and it's just. And my wife is very obviously very, very outdoorsy, very good fisherman herself. And the boys have grown up on the river. They've grown up in a drift boat. They got it pretty cool, and they're really happy about it. They love the river. They love the outdoors. I couldn't be happier. They're really, really cool kids. Really, really cool kids.
Cool. Brian, I have a question for you about the flies that you use for your trout, the streamers. Do you find that you use more of a attractor pattern, or do you try to imitate forage fish and stuff like that?
I'm a total attractor guy, but I really kind of look at it a little differently than a lot of people. We with the fish we're really chasing, it's not like you're really trying to feed them. It's a get it in their area and get them to react type of thing. So, to me, I had a fisherman once that just had absolute crazy stuff happen. They threw a streamer into, somewhere, you see fish busting every once in a while. You cast over there, nothing happens. Well, this was busted right next to the boat, and he hooked it, landed the fish, and he said, "Man, I could have thrown a Snickers bar in there." and the crazy thing is, I am dead serious. It would have done something to it. So it's to me, this is more of a if you can watch that fly and you really pay attention to what is going on with that fly, then that's the best fly for you. If you get bored with that fly, you're going to make fewer casts. You're not going to cover as much water. It's just not going to produce because the confidence issue and everything like that. So I'm a complete attractor guy because that's what I like. And some guys really dig natural colors and they will fish a natural color all day long. I'm not. I'm sitting here with a rod. I've got a Fire Tiger double deceiver on right now. I caught 2 fish on it yesterday. So, that's my thing. And I think most of the people that are in this area would agree that it's not so much the fly you have on. It's just making as many casts as you can make, covering as much water with whatever fly that you dig watching in the water.
Okay.
That was awful instructional.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you an upstream mender or a downstream mender when you're using the sinking tip?
Well, that depends. You got to be kidding me. I mean, that's a. Is that from a boat or is that wading?
Yes, depends on everything.
It depends on everything. Yeah.
You can only do one or the other.
Yeah. No, just one, and it's always downstream.
There you go.
With an S in.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Nice.
Are we going to let Brian go?
Yeah.
He's got kids waiting on him.
He's in the truck.
Once again, tell us how to find you on the internet and how to book you and all that good stuff.
Okay, my website is www.flyfishingtheozarks.com. Like I said, that's the main site that has all my contact info. It actually has all my contact info, all my videos, and everything. Basically, that's the easiest place to find me. If you can't find me on there, I don't really know what to tell you.
Very good. We'll have to fire up the computers then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Brian. Thanks for sharing your stories and telling us about your fishery down there. Sounds compelling. Another thing to add to the bucket list, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
We're getting too many of those. This is becoming overwhelming.
Bigger buckets.
Dump truck list.
Yeah.
Dump truck
list. Will the corporate jet land at the Springfield airport? I can't remember if it's got a long enough runway.
We'll look into that.
All right.
Parachute.
Talk to the pilot.
Well, we'll drop. We might get a helicopter.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good
Take
one.
it easy.
Take her easy.
Bye-bye. How about that?
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
seriously.
that
sounds really interesting.
What a strange anomaly to have that river down there.
I fished down there before because, of course, I lived there for a short period of time. My daughter was born there, and you don't think about Springfield, Missouri as a trout fishing area. Although for the people that are down there that live there and fish it, it's houseboats on the water, at the tailwater of a dam, and it's flat water, and most of the time you're jigging flies, and there's a hatchery at the base of this one place I used to fish, and it was just combat fishing like you'd expect out here in the Northwest, just people shoulder to shoulder.
But he's upstream
standing
of
and
that
fishing. He's
right?
upstream of that. So yeah, it's always nice to hear that there's something different than what your first impression is.
Right, because if you watch his videos, his rivers are, like I said, pretty western. They look like they got gradient and very interesting structure, and look like they're fun to row.
Cool.
I found that
that
through all my researching, there's a lot of places that have great fishing that you would never expect. I talked to a guy from Carolina that fishes. They call them steelhead, but they're rainbows, and
You get into other parts of the country, people call all kinds of things steelhead that have never been to the ocean.
Mm-hmm, but the point is, you would never think that there's a fishery like that.
Yeah.
They
Right.
catch big rainbows.
Right, the Carolinas, North Georgia,
Carolina, like what?
Georgia's another
Yeah,
place you can
Georgia.
catch big rainbows, and
Maybe that's because we're from the West Coast and we're
ignorant.
far removed from everybody.
We're being ignorant.
We's ignorant.
We're ignorant.
We's ignorant.
I'd rather be pompous than ignorant.
I'll be
That's
ignorant.
being awfully pompous of you.
I say.
I just want to be an asshole.
Ooh.
He said potty words.
Potty words.
No, see, we misheard it. He was using his Canadian accent. He didn't say what we thought he said.
Ice hole.
Oh,
It was ice hole.
Ice hole.
It's code.
He likes ice fishing.
Ice.
Right.
Yes.
In a hole.
You know. I agree. Preparation H does feel good. On the whole.
Monday again.
Yeah. Maybe no more Monday shows.
No,
It's getting hot in here.
Just a little bit more editing.
Go
for
home and think about
Evan.
what I've done today.
Pedal your ass home on the noped.
No pedals.
Oh, so you're just going to Fred Flintstone that bitch.
Wide open throttle, baby.
Just put it flat out and see if she can crawl up the hill.
I don't even know if I can get out the driveway.
I'm going to film that.
Yeah, we're going to film it and put it on our social medias.
There we go. Get a picture of me
Kirk's
leaving.
departure. It's going to be really
Riveting.
It's really riveting, especially if it just pulls right out and you take off. And like, oh, that was it.
I'll have to remember to put one of the big girthy open fly stickers on the back of the nopeds.
How does somebody get one of those?
We already told them, but they can go to our website at http://www.theopenflypodcast.com/swag.
I thought in Americanese it was www.
W.
W.
I was doing like the half accent, so you guys kind of understand me as well.
Or in Espanol, doble y.
Doop.
W. Ooh. Yeah.
I want to thank Sarah today for the flowers, the bruschetta, just the woman's touch.
Yes. Thank you.
Dave's going to punch you in the nards.
It's a stroke of genius.
Notice that the Kirk's insult generator never made it out today.
It's too hot for that in here. God, I can't.
Brief appearance early and then was relegated.
It's just hot.
Too much of a good thing.
Yeah, we're gonna let it go away for a while, and then when it makes its appearance, it'll take everybody by surprise.
So what's coming up next? We have some more shows in April.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a hiatus while we do other things.
Spring break.
We're going on spring break, and we'll be back in mid-April. For those of you that are listening upon the release of these, if you're listening in like 2015 or 2016, you can just download the next one and let's do it in like 5 minutes from now.
I imagine there's an overwhelming majority of our listeners haven't listened to every show so far. So during our hiatus the next couple of weeks, get caught up for God's sake.
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah, we got a couple good shows coming up, provided all our schedules work out. I think our next show is all female guests. So we're going to boost the ratings.
Spring break.
Yeah.
Let's make a plan for next year at this time that we were taking the corporate jet down to Baja and fishing for roosters off of the beach.
I'll be doing that in 2 months.
Suck.
But not in our corporate jet, in my other employer's corporate jet.
Oh, well.
Coach, Alaska.
Yeah.
Air Transat.
Yeah. Exactly.
Air
Transat. So, Dave, just in case anybody didn't listen to episode 2 and was interested in what you had to say, where can they find out about you and your guiding and your things and stuff and whatnot?
http //2handedtrout.com.
That's the number 2 and not spelled out.
I posted some photos of Dave on the water the other day on my Facebook page, so go check him out.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Dave and Sarah. Ian, you look like you're about ready to jump on the microphone.
No.
He's just got that stare.
It's not that big of a jump, so it wouldn't do much.
Yeah.
Right.
Anybody else have things and stuff that they want to talk about?
Sarah?
Or if we just kind of...
You want to say anything?
No, I'm feeling good. Good
Good.
show.
Good show, eh?
Good show. Not bad for a Monday.
Right.
All right.
I got to pee again, so
Yeah.
we should wrap this up.
All right. Today's show brought to you by Allen Fly Fishing Emerging Rivers Guide Service, all of the Woolly Bugger, Find us on Facebook, G+, Twitter, Instagram, and at the openflypodcast.com. Send feedback to the openflypodcast@gmail.com. Music provided by musicalley.com by Mevio. No Canadians, Dutchmen, or short people were harmed during the making of this podcast.
Not physically harmed, anyways.
Goodbye.
Emotionally scarred.